Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is the problem with liberalism. So when it comes to this video, I'm going to discuss the problem with the liberal ideology, which as a left-wing person, I'm going to give my critique of liberalism because like anything, if you care about anything for that matter, you're going to talk about its flaws, even if you're a supporter of it, okay? And that's what I'm going to be doing for this video so it can be the best it can possibly be. So now that I mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the problem with liberalism, is, especially modern liberalism in the past few decades, is its obsession with morality. In other words, freedom of expression when it comes to lifestyle and all that type of stuff, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, and this is going to be a controversial take, and yes, it'll turn off a lot of people, but I really don't give a fuck. I'm just going to speak the honest truth. You want to hear the truth, you're going to hear the truth, okay? Because when it comes to liberalism as an ideology as a whole, it literally, aside from this one issue when it comes to its issue with morality / freedom of expression, it literally is absolutely perfect as an ideology, okay? In every way, shape, and form, aside from this one issue, okay? First and foremost, when it comes to liberalism, it actually has a system that believes in, doing something that actually makes sense, which is the idea that the government has the right to enforce laws, that will affect all of the parts of the country, not just one specific region / province / state, whatever you like to call it, which make it possible that if an emergency were to happen, they could actually make things happen and not beat around the bush and have all these issues happening, just like we saw during COVID-19. Some states were open, some states were not open. God forbid there's a disease or a war or something, it makes it possible for you to get shit done, okay? If you want things to truly change, okay? That's the first best thing about liberalism, okay? The second thing is, it actually makes sense because it's obsessed with the idea of having a financial system that makes sense. No, it's not communism / socialism. It is a believer in democracy, but here's the thing. It believes that there should be restrictions on things, So no, it's not communism. It just simply believes in restrictions for things, which makes people's lives, of course, a lot better. Okay, so you don't have to worry about financial crisis. Thirdly, and there's others as well, but the third one I'm just going to leave it off with, there's so many to add. It believes in the idea of having social services. So if you get like sick or injured or whatever, if you have to go to the hospital, you don't have to pay anywhere from thousands to tens of thousands, if not even more, if you don't have the money for it, okay? It believes in the idea of free healthcare and other free services depending on the type of situation, like free housing if you are poor and this and that, but most importantly of all of those services, free healthcare, so you can actually be able to get things without having to worry about, I don't have the money for it and this and that, which, contrary to the American belief system, it is not gonna be a sign of a totalitarian nation and result in a disaster, because nations like Canada and Britain have free healthcare, and other nations as well. And no, it is not going to result in, of course, a dictatorship, as people were saying when Barack Obama wanted to create Obamacare, which is free healthcare. So those are just three easy examples of why liberalism is literally just about perfect in every way, shape, or form. Not to mention it cares about the environment. No, they do not want to ban guns. They just want restrictions. When it comes to liberalism as a whole, the more modern version before the radical left ruined fucking everything, it was actually perfect. And guess what? You can actually be free to look at the things you want to watch, like the TV shows, the movies, the video games you want to look at, and not have to worry about someone telling you, I don't want you looking at that, Since liberals are big advocates for freedom of expression, you can look at whatever the fuck you want to look at, and not have to have people say, this is inappropriate, this and that, now unless it's absolutely crossing the line. It's literally just about perfect. At least the liberalism I grew up with in the 1990s to 2000s before the radical ones took it over in 2016 and fucking ruined everything. So to answer your question, absolutely, undeniably it's perfect. It's just the one thing it feels on is the idea of the freedom of expression / morality, or to make things simple, I'll just say is the freedom of lifestyle choice. That is the thing that it fucks up on. Because the thing is, if you're gay, okay, I'm gonna keep it real with you 110%, okay? Or any type of lifestyle or any weird stuff you're into, I don't even know. If you're into some weird stuff, I don't know, just whatever you can think of, okay? That's, let's just say, when it comes to morality, is on a shaky ground, okay? The truth of the matter is, yes, being gay is definitely morally a questionable choice, but at the same time, if you want to live that way, you have the right to live that way, okay? That is your freaking choice. If you want to live that way, you want to live that way. Just like some people want to be drug addicts, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want to live that way, you can live that way, okay? Because if I waste my time trying to make you stop doing it, then it becomes cool and you're more likely to do it. Anyway, even if I had that mindset, okay? If you want to live that way, that's your freaking choice. The issue is that the problem with liberals is that they try to force, which there were radical elements before 2016, a little bit, but that was, which is what I'm kind of getting into, which kind of relates to the biggest fundamental flaw with liberalism, which is a topic of, do you have the right to tell other people that this is the right lifestyle to live, okay? There's a difference between we're going to let people live a lifestyle like gay people, for example, which I'll be using as my example for this video. There's a difference between, okay, if you want to be gay, versus trying to put information out there saying, okay, it's okay, to be gay, okay? Because the truth of the matter is that's obviously a very deep personal choice an individual has to make. Because if you make a choice like that and you realize, okay, this was not the greatest choice I made, and you regret it heavily and now you hate yourself, then yeah, that's probably not something you want to have happen to a huge population of people, because that can cause problems and might even create a massive mental health crisis. So in short, you want to give people the opportunity to decide, is this a lifestyle you want to live, or is this a lifestyle you don't want to live, by presenting the pros and the cons of being gay, because there actually is a lot of cons to being gay, which you can look up for yourself. Like, it blurs the lines between what is a friend and what's not a friend. Some people feel that they become, less masculine, they become more feminine because they have to do more feminine sexual types of, acts and stuff. Like, it does have a negative effect on people. And just in general, to sum things up, it's not the best lifestyle to live, okay? To be quite blunt and honest with you, it's not the best lifestyle to live, okay? But in the end of the day, if you want to live it, then go ahead. And that's what people don't seem to understand. There's a difference between freedom of expression, in the sense that you can live that life if you want to live it, versus trying to force it on other people. Because whenever people have historically come out and said, okay, I do not think this is the greatest lifestyle to live, they just get called bigots. They get called, you're homophobe, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. But in the end of the day, how does that make any sense? To be quite blunt and honest with you, okay? Because in the end of the day, we're talking about people's personal choices they want to fucking make. And just simply saying, oh, okay, you have to figure it out in this and that, and blah, 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 when it comes to, the issue of course, if you're someone who doesn't support that lifestyle, that doesn't make any goddamn fucking sense. Because in the end of the day, we have to realize, not only do we have to understand, people have the right to decide if they want to live a lifestyle, which of course they can look at themselves. You also have to keep in mind as well, just to add to that, that you don't have the right to obviously push things on people that make people Because in recent years, it's become common for people to see everything from advertisements of men kissing each other to men, being affectionate with each other on TV and all that type of stuff. What the hell does that have to do with gay rights? If you want to be gay, that just means you're able to live your life without having to worry about getting beaten the shit out of. To be quite blunt and honest with you, what the hell does that have to, of course, relating to promoting a lifestyle, have anything to do with the rights to the rights those people have? And that's a problem with liberalism. But aside from that, liberalism is literally a perfect ideology, and it's the best ideology. It just needs to work on that, and literally we have the perfect ideology, political ideology, compared to conservatism, because conservatism sucks and has always sucked. Okay, so anyway, this is my video, just giving some advice, and that's all I have to say, and simply put, I'm out. So bye.